Welcome to episode 409 of the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast. I am Dave Deacon, and have we got a very interesting episode for you. If you grow wheat on the Southern Great Plains, there's a pretty good chance that you're always looking for ways to increase yield. Winter crop rotations caught the eye of many producers when canola made its way back onto the scene a few years ago and then cooled as the markets did across the area. Recently, there's been interest in a new rotation option for producers across the area called Camelina. And this week, we're talking with Amanda Duvall about it on the podcast. We'll get to our chat with Amanda in just a minute, but before we do, if you're new to the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast, I'd like to welcome you and invite you to hit that follow button where you get your podcasts. Just a reminder, you will be able to find all of the information we talk about in this episode and past episodes on our website, reddirtagronomy.com. Let's kick things off with a quick trip around the table for an introduction to the dream team of dirt and everything that grows from it. Let's start with Oklahoma State University Extension Cropping System Specialist.
Yeah, you got to even do more of a water test with Camelina, or else it's just going to trickle out the side of everything you kind of put it into.
Dr. Josh Lofton. And across from him is a postdoctorate in the Plant Soil Sciences Department at Oklahoma State.
You like to dampen expectations, right? You don't want anybody getting in here and being dry.
Dr. Radon Sherry. With all of the formalities out of the way, we'll kick off our conversation with Amanda Duvall that we recorded January 10th, 2025, while we were at the Oklahoma Wheat Commission's booth during the KNID AgriFest. So, without further ado, on to the episode. You are listening to the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast.
Being here with the wheat, we have vision right down the road.
Yeah.
Our local, one of our local Camelina industries or businesses that are working with it. So Amanda, one of our students, came through and then has now moved out into industry and is working hard and diligent on getting Camelina out to growers and showing the potential of the crop and how valuable it can be to wheat fields and wheat production systems. So, I mean, what can Camelina add to that system?
Yeah, I think it can offer some, like weed control and those types of things. Add in some benefits of rotation, break some pest life cycles if you're trying to do that. It can come off earlier than wheat does. So if you are trying to go to a soybean or something like that, you can have enough time to go to that.
Where does Camelina fit into the whole agronomic world? Is it a broadleaf? Is it a grass? Or
yeah,
tell me.
Yeah, it's a broadleaf. It's in the Brassica family.
Okay.
We mainly plant it in the fall here, but it can be planted in the spring as well.
Right.
It's about a hard 100-day crop, and us as Vision, we guarantee to buy all grain harvested. So there's kind of that, peace of mind of knowing that you don't have to go and try to market something on your own, that type of thing. And then, me, myself, I offer that agronomic support in season because it is a new crop. It is something that isn't very well known here. And so having that agronomic support just a phone call away, I think is a really good advantage to trying something new because it is, it's stepping out into a different space. We like how it does here in Oklahoma, kind of tolerate some not as good ground as some other crops do. A wide range of pHs and our soil types here, it does very well.
Many of the listeners could remember brassica from canola.
Right.
Very similar to canola, still is that oilseed, that mustard coming in. But where canola, especially one of the frustrations that a lot of the growers had is that very narrow planting window. I mean, We're talking maybe 2 weeks of our best planting window. That's one thing that we've talked about of Camelina kind of really fitting into the system. And sure, it can be served as a rotation for wheat, but it can also be almost a cord that wheat growers can pull, that if they don't get their wheat in on time, they can maybe switch over to Camelina, get that good benefit, and then come back to wheat just as well that next year, because that planting date is so long as compared to canolas.
Our planting date, we like to say for a fall plant, October 1 to November 15th. I had a lot of guys this year that had some, failed wheat acres. And so rather than going back with wheat, they decided to pull the trigger of Camelina. So like Josh said, that was something they kept in the back of their mind, or even if they weren't able to get it replanted in the fall, they're going to go with me in the spring.
Right.
And still get off in plenty of time.
Yeah.
That failed weak acre in the fall, kind of just hung out over the winter, and then they're going to go back with Camelina. So it was just that is a good alternative in regards to, if you didn't get your wheat in for whatever reason.
Especially some of those guys that maybe grazed really heavily, talking maybe down in your area that have grazed, maybe are very focused on wheat for grazed acres, and we didn't get that growth that we really kind of want in the fall, and so maybe they've grazed it so hard that it might not come back. That it is an option that can go there.
Yeah, taken out. You don't get that later rainfall in the fall, and all of a sudden you're out of forage, and you need to go back with something else. Anyways, you need to get some of that money back for sure.
So what is the reason Camelina is kind of coming to the region?
Like the glufosinate tolerant variety offers some of that weed control. And, if something else like a different crop isn't making as much, it's a nice guarantee in there because you don't have that market exposure.
Right.
And like if you don't get a crop in, like your wheat or, it ends up being failed out. It's just it's a really good another option. And I think as we're thinking about going in the future with agriculture, diversifying our rotations is going to be adding another crop is good for everyone.
Right.
Kind of just helping other crops.
And where is that market coming from?
So for us, Shell Oil is our majority owner, and they're the ones that are taking all of the Camelina to be crushed and made into sustainable aviation fuel. And so that's where, for us, that market's going is to help with that aviation industry, and rather than getting fuel from a hydrocarbon and it comes from a carbohydrate.
Yeah, that big push on that sustainable jet fuel is I mean, even canola now, I mean, a lot of those companies, a lot of the oil seeds have started moving towards maybe less on the cooking oil, less on all of that, and more into that sustainable jet fuel, which may or may not be a more stable market in the end, but we hope that it is.
How comparative is it plant to plant to a canola plant? Because you can do the weed treatments for the grasses with the canola in the in the ground.
I know that specifically Camelina doesn't have a tillage preference.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't have a residue preference. So I've seen it in full conventional tillage to conservational tillage.
Wow.
And I've had excellent results in both. I've had heavy residue and no residue at all, and I've had excellent results with both. So I think it offers that, really broad spectrum of whatever you're doing in your own farm. It's still a really good choice.
Right. And with that, whenever you terminate the crop, I know with canola you got to break the stem and dry it down. Do you have that same?
No. So with Camelina, we recommend a straight cut.
Oh, okay.
So we still recommend a harvest aid desiccation to kind of facilitate that harvest window, and it is indeterminate, so you can get into shattering issues if you wait for it to dry down on its own too long.
Right.
But no, it's just a straight cut. So there is no special equipment, so that really draws producers to that as well.
The one big thing, I don't know if you've ever seen Camelina seed, Dave, if you need to go down to the very small.
Very small.
Okay.
And so we used to do the water test with canola, right?
Uh-huh.
So you got to even do more of a water test with Camelina, or else it's just going to trickle out the side of everything you kind of put it into.
And if you sign up with me today, I will give you a box of duct tape.
Really? Oh, wow.
So some a tube of silicone and some duct
You're going to need it. You're going to need
You know what?
it. You will find every hole, crevice, anything in any of your equipment, in your bins and your, whatever you call it. When planting, my philosophy is if you can't see seed on top of the soil, residue, whatever it may be, when you're planting, it is too deep.
Wow.
Yeah, you need to see some percentage of it on top to get a good emergence.
Holy cow. So what is your planting to harvest date? Your time window on that?
So let's say you do a fall plant, October 1 to November 15th. You're probably looking at, depending on how your winter goes here in Oklahoma, maybe a late April, middle of May harvest. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before wheat.
Significantly, even before
canola. My goal is to get as far away from wheat harvest as I can, just because this is a specialty crop, changing equipment over, calibrations, that type of thing. It may not be your main focus during wheat harvest. So I want to be 100% before wheat harvest.
We even planted some of the spring, so we at Oklahoma State are kind of looking at Camelina not as even the fall planted, but coming around in the spring, January, February planted.
Yeah, we're having a lot more interest in that spring plant.
Yeah.
And so guys that are doing like a fall cover crop or something, they can kind of graze it down.
Right.
It kind of sits idle over the winter. And then coming in February, we recommend a February plant.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get over our January weather, which is common, obviously, as we know, because we're here in snow today.
Right.
Ideally, that February plant would come off early June.
Huh.
Well, and it really is going to be weather dependent.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
even last year, we planted it in the middle of February. Well, we were so dry.
Yeah.
And it didn't emerge until March. We still cut it in May. So, I mean,
Yes,
it still came out before wheat was coming out.
It collects heat units very, very quickly, and it continues to surprise me as an agronomist on how quickly it grows, and you think it's doing nothing, and then before you know it, you're ready to harvest.
Wow.
So I guess is there any yield drag by going to a spring planting window?
I think kind of depends on how your moisture situation is,
Yeah.
honestly. You will see, I personally think you will see a little bit, but not significant, maybe five
Yeah.
bushel difference.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, and I mean, you got to think about it. Like, if you are planting in the fall, you have this prolonged vegetative period,
Right.
which is just always going to increase yield.
Yeah, for sure.
Before you flop into that reproductive. Now, the bigger thing, and you know, we'll take off the vision,
Right.
tag right now, but like growers have to know, at least, especially until we really get a feel on how our yields were lower than I expected, but depending on your price, it can
it's
be
market dependent.
Yeah,
for sure.
it's very market dependent. So we're probably not going to hit the numbers that old canola growers have seen before, but it is something that depending on the price, it can come out market value positive. It really depends on what the price is that you're going to get and how much input you put into it.
I think some of that yield issues we had too in the beginning was those winter annuals, specifically henbit, posed a greater issue than we originally anticipated. So that glufosinate kind of offers some control as long as, obviously environmental conditions align kind of for that. But yeah, that henbit last year we learned was a bigger deal than we anticipated.
I mean, and you think about it, you already mentioned the grazing, just the intensification of that system can be by being able to and then get it back out. You said, May, June.
Yeah.
You could get, effectively 3 crops.
Yeah, that's right.
You go into a grazing situation in the fall, maybe fall planted oats, hammer those, come back in, get your field clean.
It opens up a lot of other decisions in the year.
For sure. And
kind of depending on how your spring goes, you get the Camelina out, kind of get in a dry situation. You may just do a cover crop over the summer and then come back into wheat in this fall, or whatever else you want to do in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, there's that flexibility with more and more variable weather that we see, and going forward, what we expect to see. That's a big deal.
That was when we first started talking. That's the thing I was kind of excited about, is that this is not replacing wheat, nor is it really replacing that window for canola.
Yeah.
If a grower wants to grow wheat and canola, they still have that option. This is maybe a different set of ground.
Yeah.
And then you still have Camelina and that spring planted oats, which again might time-wise be competing a little bit, but intent is very different.
Yeah,
and so
for sure.
it's, do you want to go, is the cattle market really heavy and we really want to go in the cattle? Well, maybe this is an oat year, but maybe the cattle market's not good this year and the grain market is. Maybe a Camelina is your better option.
Lots of flexibility.
The fact that now we have potentially 4 winter options
Yes.
is outstanding.
Yeah.
That's the more important thing, and that's why I wanted to get Camelina talked about, because we had it right down the row here, but also because as growers are making those decisions, it's just the more options they have, the better.
Walk me through the plant. Does it have the same taproot capabilities as some of the other broadleafs that come to mind? I mean, where it can help loosen up the soil and...
Not in regards to like a tuber or a radish or something like that. But it usually has, about a 12-inch long taproot with some fibrous roots up at the top. So yes and no. It's not substantial.
Yeah.
It's not going to break up compaction.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you're wanting some taproot benefits, yes.
Again, look at this vegetative period.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
canola has those 3 to maybe 4 month vegetative period where that taproot can go down really big.
Right.
And so it doesn't give you that biotilling effect potentially, but it also means that you don't have to have those conditions that are 3 to 4 months of good quality conditions to get it to grow. So I think there's Again, as a cropping system, looking at pros and cons of all of these winter crops now, and I'm like, okay, we have some pros and cons, and we have some options around here.
Whenever it comes to that, why Oklahoma, and where else is this grown?
It's grown in Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas. There's quite a bit in the Texas Panhandle right now. Mainly why in Texas is because we can get it in and out around cotton.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really big in regards to that, which there's not a lot of crops you can do that with effectively. And then in Oklahoma, it doesn't like wet feet.
Okay.
So obviously here in western Oklahoma, that's a good thing, it doesn't like wet feet.
Yeah.
So it's very water use efficient. So, in those drier seasons, that's kind of why we've chosen this area.
Right.
In regards to that.
And weed control, it works well in different cycles as well there.
Yeah. That new variety, I've seen excellent, weed control, excellent tolerance to the glufosinate. So we're really happy with all of that. We just got to work on some of our yield, but of course that's just common.
Canola, we always talk about the reason canola in the wheat system is, we're going to get that bump in wheat yield. Do you see a bump in your small grains maybe falling that year quite like canola, or maybe that's just we hadn't explored that yet?
With specifically Camelina, we have not explored that yet. Usually, just thinking of broad spectrum brassica, it's common to see after brassica going into small grain a yield bump, but I can't specifically say for Camelina.
Well, Amanda, thank you so much for going on with us. This has been very interesting to talk with you about, because both Brian and Josh have mentioned Camelina in rotation opportunities, and so this has been a great opportunity to learn more about it.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on.
Thank you for listening in on this conversation of the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast. And if you'd like to join the next discussion, leave us a message on our website, reddirtagronomy.com. Or you can send us a tweet. Our handle is reddirtag. We'd like to thank Amanda Duvall for joining us on the podcast and helping us learn more about Camelina. Again, if you get a chance, visit our website, reddirtagronomy.com, to find out more information about our guests and any of the resources we discussed today on the podcast. For Dr. Josh Lofton and Dr. Radon Sherry, I am Dave Deacon, and we all want to thank you for listening. The proceeding is a copyrighted recording of Ag Now Media, LLC 2025. And yes, all rights are reserved.